Alright, Learning Event 3, Army Oil Analysis Program. The Army Oil Analysis Program, or AOAP, analyze the equipment lubrication condition with impended with the current component failure with the periodic evaluation of oil sample. The oil analysis provides diagnostic tools to determine the interval, just an engine, gearbox, transmission, other lubricated system components for the policy objective responsibly concerned with the Army and Oil Analysis Army Oil Analysis Program. Refer to the Army Regulation 75022 for a detailed procedure for the technical bulletin 430210. The purpose of the Army Oil Analysis Program is to detect the detect potential to component failure, determine the oil serviceability necessary for the oil change, extend oil level to conserve resource the produced maintenance cost through the preventive maintenance prior to the major repair, develop the data bank with relating to the component aware of the failure. Description: oil analysis achieved with the dynamics to determine the physical condition of the used oil with the internal condition of the engine gear of the block for the transmission hydraulic system. Speed spectrometer analysis to determine the concentration of various wear metals in the oil sample. The wear metals of the particular metal particle with the microscope to produce the friction moving part of the mechanical system in the either oil stream that are dispersed and suspended through the lubricating oil system that keeps the metal of the particle within the equality of the present with the detector spectroscope and able to determine the component parts that generate the particles by the periodical sample. The testing of the oil mechanical systems are abnormal. The wears can be detected. The worn parts can be repaired and placed before they physical property test for the analytical test for the detect the property chain for the use of the oil. For example, the chain of the viscosity fuel dilution water with the contact with the injectative fault, the equipment, the operation condition, the maintenance require procedures, resample the sample with the specifically requested the laboratory sample of oil taken from the same condition the previous sample, selected equipment and component that are listed and they enrolled in the Army Oil Analysis Program. Responsibility: use of the commander implemented the Army Oil Analysis Program policy to pursue their unit, ensure the Army Oil Analysis Program is the name of the person, the equipment enrolled in the program sample that's submitted with the prescribed intervals, ensure the oil changes that conform the warranty requirements, ensure the laboratory recommendations are complied immediately, ensure the personnel are trained with the Army Oil Analysis Program procedures, appointed the Army Oil Analysis Program monitor. Sampling: only the equipment of the component listed within pending for the TB430210. The other equipment component authorized to prevent main check service the Army Oil Analysis Program. Sample the routine sample that's submitted with the prescribed intervals established and appropriate depending for the TB430210. See figure 14 with the example the same interval but not sample with the same for the items of equipment. The sample that should be taken with the near prescribed the intervals as possible. Sampling the prescribed time not as available with such an instance of 10% of the variance before after the scheduled date and hours miles of the sampling and permissible. Figure 14 shows the correct instruction equipment in the Army Oil Analysis Program. Note that the equipment listing is incomplete. See the technical bulletin 430210 for the complete equipment listing. Some intervals specials are samples other than routinely scheduled with the special sample submitted with the laboratory under the following the circumstances for the request of the laboratory immediately before the transferring among command to oversee the deployment of the equipment and the indication of the problem with, for example, the overheating, excessive oil loss, and loss of oil pressure. When vehicles are stored, no sampling was required for the vehicle to schedule the operation of the main floating equipment to be scheduled sampled for 25 hours operation quarterly, whichever the first from the vehicle to different development tool purposes of the training aid static display from the authorization discontinued sample of the sample longer intervals granted by the applicable major command with the equipment in return for the normal operation sample intervals established in appendix to the technical bulletin 430210 will once again apply. Special samples will clearly be marked special with a band with red tape with marked on the other constituents band C that so the laboratory easily identify the DO form 2026, the oil analysis request. The accompany the same, the laboratory will be marked with a special remarks block. Borders outlined in red. The Army Oil Program. Your unit will need to maintain adequate level of forms of sampling supplies required for the sampling operation listed in Figure 15. Quantities are determined the number of type of the assignment. The equipment that are enrolled in the Army Oil Analysis Program, the frequency in which they are sampled. Figure 15 shows the oil supply. The following list for the necessary for the Army Oil Analysis Program: DO Form, the Department of Defense, DO Form 2026 Oil Analysis Request, DA Form 2407 Maintenance Request, DA Form 240820 Oil Analysis Log, DOD 314 Preventive Maintenance Schedule Work, DA Form 33254R Oil Analysis Recommendation Feedback, Oil Analysis Program Cycle Operated for the Technical Bulletin 430210 for the identifies equipment of the Army Oil Analysis Program, the DA Form 24 240-820, prepared for each of the equipment to be sampled. 3. To the sample supplied to the TAM sample data for the schedule of the DA Form 314, oil sample to the TAM noted on the DA Form 240-820, Figure 16. Figure 16 show the TA Form 240-820 oil analysis log. The DO Form 2026 prepared with requesting oil analysis. Figure 17 labeled the sample, the bottle liters completed with the bottle with the Department of Defense Form 2026 carried out mailed to the supporting oil analysis laboratory. Oil analysis laboratory analyzed the sample, the metal, the content of the oil quality notes of the result of the DO Form 2026 and returned them to the form originating unit. DA Form 2026 oil analysis request. In addition to the maintenance recommendations, note of the DA Form 3254 are forwarded to evening action with the Figure 18. DA Form 3254 with the oil analysis recommendation and feedback. The unit makes an appropriate action indicated the laboratory with the DA Form 2407, the DOD Form 2026 for the DA Form 240-820 is completed. Once the maintenance actions have been completed with the supporting the Army Oil Analysis Program, the laboratory should be notified of the result of the service action, completing the DA Form 3254R feedback anointed. Samples may be taken a warning component of the operation attempt if the equipment that has operated within the last if the equipment has been operated within the last 30 days. If the equipment has not been operated within the last 30 days, may be brought with the operation temperature before sampling applied with before both routine and special sample because the occasional laboratory will require the component that operated before the sample request will be complied with the sample taken with the oil reservoir immediately action after addition of the new oil representative will not become the representative until until complete mixing with the old new oil has been taken place required for the operation until the normal operation temperature has been attained. Sampling method: take the oil sample with the valve. The method shown in the Figure 191 or 19.1. Remove the dust cap of the assembly 2. With the engine idling open, lift the handle, sample the valve to drain output the pint of oil, a pint of oil, and shut off the sample over the sampling valve. If the sampling valve is mounted directly on the pressurized gallery, no draining is required. Place the sample valve under the valve fill, then 1/2 inch of the top to the top, and cap the valve. Return the drain oil to the reservoir. Figure 19 shows the sampling valve method. The pump, Figure 20, you would take with the sample of the oil filler neck through the dipstick hole. The procedure is followed to determine how far the tubing has been inserted with the reservoir gauge. Using the dipstick gauge, Figure 20 cut the tubing of length approximately 10 inches longer than the dipstick. Figure 10 shows the sampling of the method. Dipstick the tube, then insert the tube on this length, then cut into this length. Show the dipstick tube, the T-handle of the various releasing vacuum oil sample bottle. Testing tube sample the bottom of the insert of the tube through the T-handle opening of the tube with extent with approximately 1/4 inch below the bottom of the pump head with threads tighten the T-handle of 3 attached to the bottle. Sample pull. Sampling pump, carefully insert the tube of the reservoir. Do not allow the tubing to touch the bottom of the side of the reservoir. Simply sludging the edge of the tube with the contaminating sample to hold the sample pump the horizontally pump the oil starts entering the bottle. Fill the pump the bottle with approximately 1/2 inch for the top. The pressure of the vacuum relief valve on the top of the pump at the stop the flow. 6. Withdraw the reservoir loose from the T-handle. Remove the tube from the pump. Discard the tube and replace with the reservoir. Cover the one tube of the drum. The sample to fill your equipment. The burn bumper number. The component the serial number on the sample bottle label to avoid the confusion with other samples taken. Figure 21, oil sample identification. Oil sample shipment complete with the DA Form 2026. The form must be accompanied with oil sample to the laboratory with the following instructions. Example the information required with each of the block of the DOD Form 2026, Figure 17. The oil analysis lab enter the name of your supporting laboratory from the major command operating activity on the first line. Enter the major command, for example, the Force Trade Act USAREAU or EUSAA. Second line, enter the first unit designation address, the unified identification tone, telephone number, equipment the model APL, and enter the nomenclature model number of the component, for example, engine AVDS 17902 with the XMNSN CD 85068 hydraulic system. Equipment serial number, the enter the component with the serial number, end of the item, the model, hull number, the self-explanatory, inside item serial number, the equipment identification code, the self-explanatory, date sample, taken, the enter, the date and month of the year sample was taken, local time, sample taken, leaving them blank, hours and service and overall, since overall, and in turn, enter the cumulative number of the hours of the component since normal, new or last overhaul, 10 hours of the mile since oil change, enter the number of the hours of mile since the last oil change component, near the component near the nor the end of the odometer or hour meter, into the total estimated hours. Reason for the sample: to check if the block with is applicable with that region. Explain with the remarks for the example: the initial sample of the lot of the engine power, excessive smoke, the oil added since the last sample, like self-explanatory action taken in lead blank, discrepancy with lead blank. 16. How the manifold lead blank, how the found lead blank, how to have taken the self-explanatory sample feature, temperature, self-explanatory type of the oil, self-explanatory remarks. When samples are made, they use a shipping sack with an inch of the oil sample of the bottle, selected the basic plastic bottle plate with the completely DO form 2026 within into the shipping sack along with the plastic bag, send it in the first class mail to the using supporting laboratory. Do not use the bulk mail parcel post for delivering the oil sample directly with laboratory courier. Fold the completely DO form 2026 within a half lengthwise, wrap it around the oil sample, the bottle secured with a rubber band, dispatch to the courier laboratory regardless of the shipping method used. Oil samples should be dispatched to the laboratory on the same day as they are taken. Feedback data. Laboratory recommendations will be noted with the DA Form 3254R of Figure 18 with the components where the oil sample and analysis to indicate the problem. The form will be used with the maintenance for the action and recommended not to request the resample. The recommended oil DA Form 3254-1 will be forwarded using the unit. The form may be reproduced locally with 8.5 to 11-inch paper. The personnel with the using that have been performed laboratory recommended inspection maintenance allocation actions. They will complete with lower portion of the DA Form 3254R. Block 14 will be used to explain with the diagnostic performance from discrepancies found. The actions returned with the component serviceable condition. The DA Form 3254 will be returned to the laboratory with 5 working days with the maintenance accomplished for the component evacuated with the prepared DA Form 3254-4 with a company with long accompanying along with appropriate paperwork support of the maintenance overall facility. Will the record maintenance accomplished for the DA Form 3254 with the return of the hours originating laboratory with the 5 working days with the maintenance accomplished? Note the Army Oil Analysis Program pressure sensitive labels use the components with going with the maintenance overall facility. 2 labels are fixed opposite side of the component with the 2 opposite sides outside of the shipping container. These labels are supplied with the laboratory along with the DA Form 3254R. To summarize, remember the following technical bulletin 430210 with the Army Oil Analysis Program. Very effective maintenance diagnostic tool is not substitute for the good maintenance for equipment under warranty. Follow the manufacturer instructing the oil filter changes. 4. Keep the some ample and supplies forms on hand. Keep the good maintenance. Lesson 3: Tactical garrison maintenance sites.